so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online, and you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we go again. So happy to be back here in the studio with you guys. After a few days off traveling, I was at Enchanted Force gathering up in Laytonville, California, and had a great time. A little bit of a hike from where I live, but definitely a wonderful time. And hopefully, I'm sure you guys enjoyed having the lovely Erica running the show. I believe Brian, her partner, joined at one point. And so, yeah, you guys got some variation there. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed getting a little break away from the normal schedule. And let's see, today I am going to read a question that was written on the Positive Heads Facebook group. And this one came from Danielle Santos. And if you guys aren't on the Facebook group, it's Positive Heads with an S. And definitely get on there. It's a wonderful place to connect with other listeners and ask questions, like in this case, or just follow. You can even just observe if you like. If you like to be a voyeur and see what people are posting and talking about and connecting over. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. And we've been actually with the Purium 40-day transformation that a bunch of us, about 60 or so, are going through. We keep a day-to-day update on how that's going, because right now, especially, we're in the 10-day period, which is sort of the more intense portion of it, where you're having very little actual food. I mean, there's some flex foods that you can eat, but for the most part, you're having shakes and supplements multiple times a day. And it's day 4 as I record here of the 10-day portion. So it's been definitely interesting. I notice my energy is, sometimes I'll have spikes of energy. Other times I feel like my energy is kind of low, and have had a few times where I feel like maybe even feeling a little just almost not sick, but off, and I'm sure that comes from my body just like dealing with toxins being cleansed, because we're taking these cleansing supplements along with, having very little food. So it's been quite the journey so far, and a wonderful one. I highly, highly recommend it. It's the first time I've done anything like this. And so if you guys want to peek into the world of those of us that are participating in that, also on the Positive Heads Facebook group. But you can also, take the journey yourself. And you can do that by going to positivehead.com/Purium, Purium. And you can see, get the discount code, which is Positive Head, to get 25% off on the stuff that you need. Ends up costing you, $5 to $7 a day, I believe, depending, what exactly you do. So Definitely highly recommend it. And I feel really, really proud of myself and those of you P-heads who are doing it along with me. Because like I said, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. And if you guys are curious at all about, also on that positivehead.com/Purium page, you can see the interview I had with David Sandoval, the founder, and sort of the intention to heal the world with superfoods of the company. And so, yeah, he's doing it. We're doing it. And so that's definitely been a big thing for me over the last few days, especially being about almost halfway through now. So at least the 10-day portion. So let's see here. This question came in on the Facebook group, as I was saying a moment ago, from Danielle Santos. And she said, and this is just a piece of an ongoing conversation, but she said, "Thank you, Brandon. The thing is, I don't give up. So I guess I'm just concerned about it. The difference between don't giving up or forcing something to happen. Like, how do I feel that I should not let it go and not force a dream or situation if I am not working hard enough to get it or I am not persisting on it?" And of course, this is a wonderful, wonderful question that I think a lot of us have dealt with over time. What is being in the flow versus forcing? Where do you draw the line? And so I'm going to jump into that question here in a moment. Before I do, I would like to take a moment and read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love getting reviews. They not only help us to reach new people, but certainly fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. And this one came in by Perkins B2. Perkins said, "Love it. Love the positive energy. I just wanted to say that I was in a bad place. I was having negative thoughts all the time and I had cancer. Since then, I've been healing. I now listen to affirmations every day and binaural beats. I also love to meditate and walk outside now. Your show helps me keep a positive mindset." Wow. Love that. Thank you so much, Perkins, for taking the time to review and give some feedback. What a incredible, as I would put it, choice that your soul has made to go through what you're going through. I believe it's always happening for us and not to us. And that is a brave path to tread, and to be able to find the silver lining, be able to find things to lift your vibration and, overcoming that bad place, finding your way through it. That is just such an incredibly inspiring thing for, someone to go through. So thank you for taking the time to review and give that feedback and share it. It's such a pleasure and honor to play a role in your journey of self-healing and creating more of what you want to see in your life despite incredible odds and challenges. Speaking of reviews, now I've been telling you guys for a long, long time to, go on to iTunes and review. It's the holy grail of all things podcasting. And, here's the thing though, iTunes is now that's sort of shifting. iTunes is still obviously a huge player in podcasting, but what's kind of sucked for podcasters is they give us very little insight into any statistics, and it's sort of, I don't know. It feels like, we don't get a whole lot of benefit out of, creating all this great content on their platform. So there's been other people stepping up and apps that are coming out. And there's a wonderful, wonderful new app called Castbox that I really, really am digging. And I've been actually talking to those guys. It's a couple of the founders are from Google originally and saw a need for an app that especially for Androids. We had iTunes, and if you have an iPhone, for example, it comes with a podcasting app that links up to iTunes. But for Android especially, there was a big void, and so there's been people creating different ways to get podcast to people more easily, but Castbox is one of the highest rated, amazing apps out there. And what I love about them, as such an entrepreneurial spirit myself, they are doing things that, that are out of the box. And one of the things is actually supporting podcasts and getting behind podcasts that they believe in and telling people and actually promoting them. I mean, that's something that's unheard of on like iTunes. They don't even communicate with us, much less give us statistics or anything. So I've been in communication with Castbox, and they, love what we're doing here, at the Positive Head podcast, and are being gracious enough to offer to help to support the show. And that's phenomenal. As you guys know, I always ask for reviews because they help us to reach new people, right? And an app where people are actually getting the podcast, helping us to reach new people is just absolutely wonderful. So I'm super ecstatic to be going, just, kind of heading down the path of working with Castbox. And so what I want to ask you guys to do is to start using that app. They're looking to support this show. I'm asking you guys to support that app. You can actually leave reviews. Before iTunes was one of the only places you could review, you can actually leave reviews on Castbox. So I really want to focus all my attention there. They're actually going to help support the show back. I certainly want to help to, they've only been around a few years and they're one of the highest rated apps, millions and millions of plays each day and downloads of the app itself. So if you don't have the Castbox app, go and you can download it for free, whatever type of device you're on. Highly recommend getting the Castbox app because they're doing all these creative things with the shows and the content and the way they deliver it to you. And it seems like, even to give you an example with iTunes, what's hot on the iTunes section has been the same ever since for years. It's like they still say under the category that this show is under, here's what's hot, here's what's new. It hasn't changed in years. They're not even doing anything with the app, really, that I can see. Whereas, Castbox is looking to fill that void and they're looking to support this show. So please, guys, go over, download the Castbox. That's Castbox app. Subscribe to, of course, this show and any others that you follow, and leave a review there. I want to get a ton of reviews. We've got hundreds and hundreds of reviews on iTunes. If you guys have reviewed in the past on iTunes, if you would be willing to go over and review on Castbox, that would be so wonderful. And that is going to be all of my focus from this point forward, because they're in alignment with, they want to help me and I want to help them. And they're doing some creative things, thinking outside the box. So, all right, let's jump right into continuing with this question. This is a really big one that I think all of us have to deal with at some point in time on our journey to self-awareness, as we sort of come to understand that going with the flow is indeed the way to live your life. Going with the grain, not trying to impose yourself on anyone or anything. Understanding that what's meant for you will always be for you. And as someone who's done a lot of trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, I can tell you this has been a slow one for me. So I totally feel you, Danielle, with your question. And here's the thing. I think instantly what I'm thinking of when you bring this up is a question from, or a story that Oprah Winfrey once shared, talking about the color purple. And she really, really wanted to be in this movie years and years ago. Actually, my little piece of trivia, my uncle who lives in North Carolina helped them to get a bunch of props for the movie, and someone who was assigned with getting the props, and I guess there's some of my great-grandmother's things in one of the bedroom scene, like a shell or something. I don't know. Anyway, side note, so Oprah really wanted to be in this movie, and she auditioned for it. And then didn't hear anything for months and months and months. And she had kind of, one day I think if I remember the story correctly, she was on a treadmill. She was, working out, and she was thinking to herself, well, it looks like I'm not going to get this part. I've never heard back. It's been months. And she was sort of having an emotional release, saying, okay, I've got to let it go now. I wanted this so badly for myself, but it doesn't look like it's meant to be. I need to let it go. And tears were coming down her face as she's running on this treadmill and releasing this desire, this deep desire to play in this movie. And at that time, just moments after her having this whole release, someone came up to her and said, hey, you've got a call at the gym. She went over, she got the call, and it was the director. I think it might have been Steven Spielberg, if I recall, saying, hey, we want you for this role. And so it was like, at the moment she let go is when she could have it. And that's a profound insight and story to really grasp. You can have what you don't need. And so what I found is, You don't need anything because why? What do we talk about always on the show? You're an eternal being that's always been, always will be. Your survival is guaranteed. You are eternal. You are divine. Everything is within you. So any sort of desire or path that you may want to choose to go down, it is a choice. And sometimes it's dead on. It's exactly what is best for you. It's in your best interest. It's your greatest and grandest path forward, right? How many times have I thought something is my path that it wasn't? And then I've tried to force it and force it and force it. So we had a show a while back where Esther Hicks talked about this and said, it's this, whatever you're trying to do or something better. It's this or something better. What are you trying to achieve in your life? What is the latest and greatest thing that you're excited and turned on about and lit up about? Great. You can take steps in that direction, but with a healthy sense of detachment, knowing that you can't necessarily see the chessboard, if you will, the way your higher self can see it. So your higher self may already know, okay, I understand why Brandon wants to do this thing at this point in time and has this excitement about, pursuing this particular path, but there's a bigger path that he can't see right now. So if you can always think this or something better, and so you approach whatever you're doing saying, hey, I'm choosing this from my limited sort of vision of the chessboard of life, and there may be something even better for me, so I'm going to approach it with a very lightheartedness and a healthy sense of detachment. What I found is when something's meant to be, it unfolds relatively effortlessly, the way everything works in nature, right? If you're finding that you're having to force things, take that as your sign to just pull back and relax, because you don't need it. You don't need anything to happen for you to be fulfilled. You're fulfilled now. Just being alive. You have hit the lotto and you are amazing success, right? So that is what I would recommend in this, this scenario. If you, for Danielle, for example, if you are forcing and it's not working, then just let go. You let go. You don't need it or anything to happen. It'll be that or something better. And what you'll find is, there's a moment and there's a time when to exert energy towards attempting anything, right? And then look at the feed. It's always a feedback loop. Okay, what is my feedback? How did that go? Oh, wow, that flowed effortlessly. Next step, coming right up. Okay, great. I'm going to continue this path. It feels gentle and flowing, and it's, as the short little video I'm going to share here in a minute, I'm sailing, not rowing so hard. And it doesn't mean never to row. There's a time and a place to row. But if you're exhausting yourself rowing and it doesn't seem to be getting you anywhere, just pull back, relax. There's so many things that can come to you, that can flow to you effortlessly and with ease, with grace and ease. A lot of times we get these ideas in our head. I know me, I've had ideas about what I'm going to do or not do. And I just, my determination, I just stick with it and things aren't working and I keep grinding. A big part of my last year even has been learning to go with the flow more. If I have to force it, it's not the way. I think of an Elephant Revival song that I played a while back called Home in Your Heart. One of my favorite songs in the last 6 months. I probably listened to it as much or more than any song. There's a lyric. It says, "Don't force nothing and something will come around, light as a feather when you're homeward bound." And what that means to me is in the end, you're going to get there. You're gonna end up where you're meant to be, right? You can't miss it. You're gonna end up, emerging back into your eternal state as a divine being who has went through all the experiences of living in 3D and whatever else we do. But the question is what is the quality of that journey? Is it going to be fighting tooth and nail, lots of resistance, lots of bumps and bruises? Or are you going to learn how on your way home, are you going to learn how to float light as a feather, right? Well, that's what we're talking about here. Finding that path of least resistance as you drift, as you find your way home. So check in with yourself. Okay, am I forcing? Is this feeling like I'm pushing too hard on something? Guess what? I can relax about it, because if I stop forcing, something else may come up because I've actually freed up my energy to allow a different path or a different project or a different, whatever. There's no shortage of the amount of whatever the experiences you're seeking from what you're pursuing, there's no shortage of the ways that source, your higher self, can deliver that experience, underlying experience to you. Many different ways, many different faces, many different projects, infinite. So being too hung up on any one path, I believe we're missing the point. And so that's something that's been a big lesson for myself. And I hope, Danielle, this helps you to some degree. I do have a short video, just a few minute video here of Alan Watts talking about this. It's called The Principle of Not Forcing. And I found it on the Always and the Now YouTube page. Let's take a listen.
So in the Taoist doctrines, there is a principle called Wu Wei. And this means, Wu means none or not, no, negation. Wei has a combination of meanings. It can mean action, making, but the best translation I have found for it is forcing. And so Wu Wei is the principle of not forcing in anything that you do. Now we know when we watch any performance of an artist, be it a dancer or an actor or a musician, we know immediately when the performance is forced. And we say it doesn't ring true, it's too artificial, it doesn't seem to be natural. Many people who study the Taoist doctrines think that Wu Wei means do nothing, in the sense of laissez-faire, be lazy, always be passive. It doesn't mean that. There is a time for action. When you study judo, you use muscle only at the right moment. When your opponent is hopelessly overextended and off balance, and you add a little muscle to it and you throw him across the room. But only then. You never use muscle at the wrong moment. For as Shakespeare knew perfectly well, there is a tide in the affairs of men which, taken at its flood, leads on to fortune. And so Wu Wei is based on knowledge of the tide, the drift of things. Get with it. Wu Wei is the art of sailing rather than the art of rowing. So, if you say now, one of the most famous sayings in the Lao Tzu book is superior virtue has no intention to be virtuous, and thus is virtue. Inferior virtue cannot let go of virtuosity, and thus is not virtue. So one could also say, the real Wu Wei is not intentionally Wu Wei, and so is Wu Wei. But inferior Wu Wei so tries to be Wu Wei that it isn't. In other words, this is saying Wu Wei is not a matter of cultivated passivity or even of cultivated spontaneity. Because there are people who think that they are released, that they have realized that they are the Tao, as all of us in fact are, or that you are, to put it into Vedanta terms, every one of us is the Brahman, the eternal self of the universe, beyond all description or classification or thought. And you say, okay, baby, I'm that. Now I'm going to have a ball. Well, what kind of a ball do they have? Well, what they do is they look up the rules on which society runs and do the opposite. Well, that's still running by the rules of society. And it's the mirror image in reverse. That's not spontaneity. You have to be able to realize that you don't know what you really want to do until you are very quiet. And it tells you.
So Wu-wei, not forcing. And I love the example of if an artist is trying too hard, we feel that, right? Oh, they're trying too hard. Their performance is not authentic. It's not in the flow, right? Sailing versus rowing. Learning how to sail. Actually, that's another lyric in that Home in Your Heart song by Elephant Revival song, setting your sails. Here's I just pulled up the lyrics. You set your sail and move full speed ahead. Don't push that river, let the river move you along. There's home in your heart when there's heart in your home. Don't force nothing and something will come around. Light as a feather when you're homeward bound. So we move into the state of achieving by not trying. And at the end, and he even touched on this. Hey, guys, at the end, we don't really know what you want to do. I've wanted to do all kinds of things at different times, right? And that changes all the time. So let's not be overly attached to these ideas as if, okay, this is it. This is the only path for me. It's do or die here. We can get into that state so easily. We're just going to learn to flow and let it all unfold with grace and ease and trust the process. Trust that what's for you will always be for you and you cannot lose. And if you can relax into that, you have now found a groove that is truly divine. It's the easier, smoother path back to where you're headed, And I hope this has been a smooth and easy journey for you guys today. It has for me. I've absolutely enjoyed it. I do have a song to leave you with. This is Adam X Eve. It's ADM X EVE, Before the Fall. And this is on Time Wheel Records, which has a bunch of amazing music. So if you guys like this, maybe check out Time Wheel, who put this out. And otherwise, it's been a journey. Love you all so much. Until next time, may your journey be smooth with absolutely calm seas. Love you guys. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.